The person sleeping behind me is not homeless. They have permanent housing. They were given this housing about 6 months ago. Every day since, she has slept on the sidewalk, sometimes all night. She has an apartment to go to, but does not. This is the perfect example of someone who was not prepared for housing. All she knows is the streets. And this is why she comes out here every single day. Now, someone driving by, they're like, oh my gosh, it's a homeless woman on the sidewalk. Why isn't anyone helping them? Well, someone did help her, but she's still out here. Now, imagine a politician driving by or a voter. They're gonna vote for more funding for homeless services because they're gonna see her and be like, wow, this is triggering, I really wanna help. But you'd be surprised that many homeless people you see on the streets actually live indoors, or at least have access to indoors, but sleep outside. And that's the sad reality, because the fact is there's no tracking tools, there's no oversight, there's no really way of tracking where they are or who's being helped. And that's the biggest problem with this dysfunctional system, is because there's no oversight, things like this just get overlooked.
I, this is honestly, this is nothing new, and I grew up around homelessness. Not that I was ever homeless or it was ever, in danger of being homeless at all, but it was more or less about the fact that I went to school around homeless people. Some of you that went to Cass Tech in the earlier years in the 90s and the 2000s, you know that Cass Corridor was ripe for drug use and homelessness. And even if you went around the store to go to the parking lot or you went to the corner store, you were going to be bombarded with this lifestyle. And I've done a lot of volunteer work. I mean, years of volunteer work, right? And even to the point to where, I've fed them, I've spent time trying to find, shelter for them. Even today, I still spend a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources helping people that are homeless. And it's become a passion project of mine in the past. But what I've realized over the years is that the overwhelming majority of people that are on the street, the overwhelming majority of people that you would deem as homeless, that you drive by every day and you say, oh my God, my heart melts. And this is the honest to God truth. They choose to live this way. This is not something that they're forced to do. They live this way because this is a lifestyle that they have adopted. And you know what the interesting part about it is that most of the time is because they don't want to have any rules. They don't want anybody to tell them when to come and when to go. They don't want to, be forced to not bring drug paraphernalia. They don't want to, have any structure in their life. They would rather hit the streets. And the only time that you start to see, and this is the honest to God truth, the only time that you actually would see them accept your help is if they can choose when to come, or it's an extreme, and when I say extreme, super extreme situation, like a super blizzard is coming, or it is about to drop below 5, below -5 or something. It's a cold spell that's coming up here in Michigan or something like that. And even then, a lot of time they already have reserved opportunities, or they already have situations that they can take advantage of. And so, they'll take advantage of it then. But a lot of time we waste so much money. We waste a ton of taxpayer dollars all the time because we don't really understand the problem. And so it's easy for a politician, for example, to want to get reelected. And so they'll, be very careful about making sure that they allocate money towards the right causes, right? A lot of people don't even know how funding works. A lot of the times the funding comes through the police department, and the police department works sometimes with the churches. And when you talk about community activism, or you talk about all of that stuff, there's millions and millions and millions of dollars that is allocated every single year. And this is one of the reasons why the church, I shouldn't even be telling out all of this. It's one of the reasons why churches and stuff like that, they participate in the election process, both national and locally, because a lot of funding is directed through them, right? If you like have been to any homeless area, and I'm not talking about, oh my God, I'm going to feed the homeless on Thanksgiving in order to make myself feel better, which is not a bad thing, right? I'm not dissing anybody that volunteers, but people don't understand how the system works, and I understand intimately how the system works. And so all of this money is spent year over year over year in order to eradicate homelessness, which you'll never be able to eradicate homelessness because people don't understand how the system works, and they don't understand the people that's within the system. And so we spend a ton of money standing up all of these opportunities. There's people that volunteer all the time for free. There's people that get paid salaries to do it for a living, and it doesn't mean that they're stealing from the system. It means that that's what they, have decided to spend a majority of their time on, and that's cool too. I'm not even tripping off of that. But what I am saying is that your sympathy is often heated with disgust from the people themselves that are homeless. And I've told this story on the Millionaire Morning Show too. I've called people on the Millionaire Morning Show to actually confirm it and show you what's going on. If you go out and feed, we used to have these backpacks that we would give out. And it was an innovative design. I forgot who did it, but here in Detroit, it gets cold, in the wintertime or whatever. And so it was this coat. You could wear it as a coat, and it was full length, and it was like a bubble coat, and it kept you really warm, and it doubled as a sleeping bag. And we would give food out, whatever, and it would be like super hot food, and it would be made on the spot and all of this stuff. They discuss, slap it out of your hand, curse you out, disrespectful, throw it on the ground, all of that type of stuff, bro. It happens every single day. Talk to somebody and talk to people that actually work with homelessness, and it'll change your perspective. And you have to actually be a really, really strong person to endure through and not get bitter about it, or not change your perspective and say, you know what, forget all of this. I didn't know that this was what the situation really was. Most of these people have housing, or they have a place to go, or they have shelter, or they all of that, and they don't do it. They don't accept it because you got to get checked, right? And so you're not going to be in there causing a fuss. You're not going to tell us that you can come in at 2 in the morning and make everybody else unsafe. You can't bring your drug use in there. You're not going to be in there having sex and bringing some other person in there that sleeping under a bridge. So they choose a lot of time. Sometimes they just choose to be on the streets because they just more comfortable on the streets. And a lot of times it's mental health. You got people that has been on the street so long that that's just what they used to. It's almost like somebody that's been in the hood, and it's hard to get them to leave the hood or realize that it's a world that's bigger than whatever it is that they used to. And they don't want that. The only thing that they care about is being able to hit the block every day, or be able to go to their spot and post up on a corner store and all of that, right? So a lot of times, we're ignorant to it because we haven't been a part of it, and we haven't had conversations or participated in it long enough to where you're not just at a soup kitchen during Thanksgiving. And so we'll have these conversations, but even with politicians, and this is why I hate politics, they petition for all of this money in order to fill budget gaps and holes within their budget. And then they spend all of this money. California has spent tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars on technically quote unquote homelessness. A lot of contractors make a lot of money. But I will tell you this, you can't eradicate it. I don't believe it. I've spent the majority of my adult life with this as my passion project, trying to figure out exactly how you would be able to eradicate something. And you can't just throw money at it because you're throwing money at the wall. But just a little bit of education for you guys in order to bring you in and help you to understand how things go out here in these streets. Make sure you tap into the Patreon link is in the description. Always like to make sure that I give credit to the content creator, regardless of whether I agree or not. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.